Fantastic. That's obviously all that applause was for such a fantastic introduction by Sonia. Yes? Wasn't she great, hey? Thanks for leaving me some time, Sonia. That's good. Wow, where did you all come from? I think Sonia probably said we're quite surprised to see so many people in the middle of the summer holiday. This is not the kind of thing I would do in my summer holiday. But I get the chance to be here again. This is my third visit to Copenhagen. And it's always nice to come back here because, I think mainly because people laugh at my jokes here. So it's good for my ego, you know, it's good for my... And of course, I think you know the focus of our time tonight is this subject called harmony. And this is another reason why I'm so surprised there's so many people here, because I was told that Copenhagen is a stress-free zone. Right? There's no stress in Copenhagen. Easy, relaxed, no traffic jams, everyone riding peacefully on their bicycles. Da, 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 da. Yeah, and yet so many people searching for harmony. Harmony. And I guess my search began about 30 years ago when I woke up one day very stressed out. And I decided I had to do something about it. So I kind of went looking outside and inside to see why I was experiencing so much stress. And very quickly I began to find out and to realize that actually I create my stress. I don't know if anyone has had that realization yet, that no one else actually makes me feel stressed, that it's me, basically. It's not the world around me, it's not other people, it's not the children, it's not even the government that makes me stressed. It's how I respond to them. It's how I create my response to people, situations, and events. And I had what's called my light bulb moment. You know the aha moment? When the light bulb goes off, you know, and you suddenly, now I understand. And that moment changed my life, changed the quality of my life, changed the direction of my life. And I began to do what I've been doing, I guess now, for about almost 30 years, which is coaching, teaching, training, writing, lecturing, many different things. And so my life today is a combination of three things: of working in organizations with individuals and teams of managers, helping them to understand themselves and how they are responding to the world around them. The second thing I do is evenings like this for the BKs, as they're known, the Brahma Kumaris. And of course, this evening is free, and this is how the BKs operate around the world, is all events, courses, workshops, retreats are free of charge. And that's how we give something back. That's how we put something back into the community wherever we are. And then the third thing that I do all the time is I'm always writing. I'm always writing articles and books and stuff. But I don't write for other people, I really write for myself. I'm quite selfish, actually. And the reason for that is an ancient piece of wisdom. Let's see if you recognize this wisdom. The reason I write is because how do I know what I know till I hear what I have to say? Shall I say it again? How do I know what I know until I hear what I have to say? Yeah. In other words, I'm sure you've been relaxing of an evening with friends, just kind of chilling out, and after half an hour, you say something very deeply profound, and people turn to you and they go, "Wow, I didn't know you knew that." And you're thinking, but you're not saying, "I didn't know I knew that." Have you ever had a moment like that? when you said something you didn't know that you knew. And that's the moment when you reconnect with what's called your inner wisdom, the wisdom of the heart. Sometimes it's called that stuff that women have and men don't. What do women have? And apart from common sense, what do women have and men don't? Intuition. Yeah, it's true, isn't it? This is the mythology around intuition. Of course, everyone has it, but women tend to be a little bit more expert in the intuitive. Maybe that's because of the mother-child relationship. It tends to be more sensitive. But everyone has at the heart of their being a natural wisdom. And sometimes it comes to the surface. And so I've been spending essentially the last 30 years listening to and trying to understand the wisdom of my heart. And everything I share with you tonight, you already know. It's already within you. It's not new. It's not new. About 5 years ago, I decided to write a book on the universally popular subject of love. And I started doing a lot of research into love. I wanted to understand. I have a kind of passion. I like to get to the truth of things. And I wanted to get to the truth of love. And the reason for that is I kept hearing this word being used in almost all languages, very frequently, every day, many times every day. And yet, as I looked at the world, I didn't see, didn't feel, didn't experience a lot of love in actuality. And it's very connected to tonight, because where there is love, there is unity. And where there is unity, there is harmony. You agree? Where there is love, there's a unity. Where there is unity, there is harmony. I can do it the other way if you like. Where there is harmony, there is the presence of love, because there is a connection, a unifying connection between two energies. So I went out to research love, and very quickly I began to realize why there's so much disharmony. Because we use the word love a lot, at least in English. I don't know about Danish. You'll have to tell me. But in English we use the word love a lot, but we really mean something else. But we don't realize we mean something else. You know, in the movie, there's usually a moment in the movie when he says to her, "Darling, I love you." What does he really mean, guys? He really means, "I want you." Yeah, you see, you were quick to answer that one. Or was it the girls who answered that one? And then 2 minutes later, she looks back in his eyes and she says, "Darling, I love you too." What does she really mean? I've got you. And so in that moment, we are using the word love, but we mean something else, and we don't realize we mean something else. And in this instance, it usually means desire or possession. And we all know the truth about love. True love will never desire and never try to possess. It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to. How else do we use the word love? What do we say? We say, "I love my football team. I love my car." Is this love or attachment? And if you notice, when we get attached to anything, when you get attached to a person, an object, a place, notice the emotion that arises is not love, it's fear. Fear of loss, fear of damage. Look what they've done to my car. And so we live in fear, but we use the word love. Interesting. What else do we say? Oh yes, I love my cocaine. Joking, of course. Or I love that chocolate. I love that coffee. What do I really mean? It means I'm dependent on something to make me feel happy, content, blissful. And you all know the truth about love. True love is unconditional. And therefore, it is non-dependent. It's not dependent on anything. And then what do we say? Oh, I love my country. I love my nation. I love my flag. And what do I really mean? Not love. It really means I'm identifying with an idea. Because that's all nationality is. It's just an idea which has been ingrained in our minds. Someone came along a few hundred years ago and said, let's call this Denmark, let's call this Sweden, let's call this Britain, let's call this France. Is that what I am? British? Did I come out with British stamped on my forehead? Don't think so. It's just a label. It's just an idea. It's a concept. And so actually, the truth about love, it is always free. It never loses itself in something that it's not. And ideas, nationality, it's not real. So as I was researching, as I was hearing this word love so much, and I was thinking, well, what is love exactly? What is it exactly, precisely? And I asked so many people, and very, very seldom did I get a definition of love that came close to, that came close to describing accurately. And so this is why it's important. It's the foundation of harmony in ourselves, harmony in our relationships, harmony in the world. It's the foundation, the presence of love. So what I'd like to do now is give you a chance to listen to your own wisdom, a chance to have a little conversation with one person next to you, say hello, find a stranger, someone you don't know, a quick hello, how are you, who are you, and then have a little conversation and see if you can agree on your definition of love. See if you can come to an agreement without arguing. You never do that here, I know, on what your definition of love would be. Could I ask you to do that? I say a stranger so you don't need to consult a lawyer afterwards. Yeah? Someone next to you, someone behind you. Hello, how are you? I am, you are. What do you think love is? Do you want to do that just for 2 or 3 minutes? Hands up those who were starting to argue. That's good. Anyone, definition of love. What were you coming up with in your conversation? You just stick your hand up and then shout. I think it'll work with the acoustics here. Anyone, definition of love? Yeah.
It's an energy.
It's an energy.
We give from ourselves.
It's an energy we give from ourselves. Good. Anyone else? Thank you. Anyone else? No one else? The rest of you were just talking about the weather, I know. Pardon? Acceptance. Love is acceptance. It's okay, don't run around with the microphone. It's all right, no problem. Anyone? Acceptance? Energy? Yes.
Different kinds of love. Kids, you can't have love in them all your life, and the rest of human beings,
So your children you love differently from other human beings, you love differently the government, you love differently the weather. So you have different kinds of love for different things. What a very confusing life. No? Okay, yeah, many people believe that. The Greeks were very much into that. Yeah, it's good, thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, right at the back, you'll have to shout. That's a characteristic love of love. Acceptance is an expression of love. Energy is a kind of radiance of love. But what is it? Silence. Wonderful. Anyone else? Like to have a go? Yeah, right there. Just shout from there. A space of awareness. A A space of awareness. Now we're getting very esoteric. Fantastic. A space of awareness. It's good. Anyone else? High might. Did you say high mic? Oh, highlight. I thought you said high mic. I was going to go, hi, yeah, I'm here. Yeah. High mic. Yeah. Now you're saying it, yeah. So a high light, a very bright light. Okay, it's good, yes. A wish for happiness for someone else. Neat and sweet, thank you. A wish for happiness for someone else is definitely an expression of love. It's an expression of love, definitely. Anyone else? Definition, yes.
I think love is what we are.
It's what we are. Fantastic, it's what we are. Within. Deep within, but not shallow within.
We express it in a wrong way.
Okay, yes. We put conditions, yeah. Is deep within. Fantastic, wonderful. Anyone else? It's good. One more, yes. No, not you again. You've had your chance. You've had your chance. Oh, look at all these people here waiting to speak. Go on then, yeah. So it's just a feeling, that's all. Feelings that come and go. Yeah, okay. It's a feeling, it's an energy, it's deep inside, yes. Unconditional giving. Is that what love does? That's what it does. It gives unconditionally. It gives what? Yeah, okay, it's good. Giving unconditionally. It's good. So 10 different answers, 10 people, 10 different definitions, or 10 attempts to define. And this is what I found when I was researching. All over the world, people found it very difficult to define love. And I began to realize the reason for this is that actually it's almost impossible to capture love in words. Yeah? And why? Because love is prior to words. It's prior to even thinking. Yeah? It's a state of being that is prior to even thinking. And so words point to it. They can point to it, but they can't capture it. That's why down through the ages, they've said that the closest you'll get to the truth in language is through poetry. And that's why all the great poets, they tried to get close to the idea of love, but they could only get close because it's prior to that. The nearest that I kind of sense we get in words is the word someone used. It's an energy. It's an energy. It's an energy that, again, some of you were saying that we give, that we radiate from deep within to outside, towards someone or something. And when that energy radiates, there is what's called connection. There's a connection between you and the other, or you and the object, or you and the flower, or you and the world. There's a connection. And where love is present, there's a moment of unity. I might say, I love that flower. And in that moment, it's as if I and the flower are one. Yeah, not really, because the flower is there and I'm here, but it's in that moment that the energetic sharing is making us as if we are one together. I give the energy, it gives me its fragrance, its beauty, its color, and I give the energy of appreciation. So that energy exchange is creating a harmonious relationship between me and the flower. Yeah, and of course it's the same with people. Where there is that energetic exchange, there is connection, there is unity. But only if the quality of the energy is correct and the intention behind the energy is correct. So then I looked around the world for evidence of the presence of love. I switched on the TV, I opened the newspapers, I listened to my friends, my colleagues, my family, and all I could hear and see 90% of the time was disunity, disharmony, abuse, violence, conflict. And I looked around the world and I thought, actually, we're living at a time when there is probably the absence of love more than the presence of love. So then I thought, I want to know why. So time for Sherlock Holmes. You all know Sherlock Holmes? You know Sherlock Holmes? He goes and he makes investigations. So I went to investigate. And I tried to find a simple way to express and understand why love is absent. And I looked first of all at the world. And I noticed the world is utterly and totally fragmented at all levels. And where there is fragmentation, there is the absence of union, and therefore the absence of the energy of love. And just at the simplest level, what we see in the world today is there's, I think, 184 nation states in the world today. Yeah, nation states. That means 184 groups of human beings all identifying with a different nationality. And when you have people identifying with different nationalities, then you get what's called fragmentation in the world. And in human consciousness, you get the beginning of thoughts of us and them. And as soon as you get fragmentation in the world, us and them, as soon as you get division, you get separation, you get conflict. Yeah? And where there's conflict, there's no harmony. There is the absence of love. And then I thought, why are we all living in this very fragmented world and we're still okay with it? Why are we living in a world where we have an organization actually called the United Nations? You all heard of the United Nations? Has it ever occurred to you that United Nations is an oxymoron? Do you all know what an oxymoron is? Oxymoron is like a contradiction in terms. You know, like military intelligence. Or a holy war, yeah? Or the sound of silence. Yeah, it's like a contradiction in terms. United Nations. The very fact that we are all in nation states means we are disunited, disintegrated as a human family. And where there is that disintegration, there is disharmony, there is conflict, there is war. And then where is this coming from? I like to get to the root. I like to get to the cause of this kind of phenomenon. And I sat down one day and I realized that the fragmentation of the world, and I'm sure you're aware of this, is just an expression, a manifestation of the fragmentation of ourself. Yeah? There's an old saying that says, as within, so without. You ever heard that? As within, so without. In other words, if you go home tonight, and is your bedroom very tidy? Do you have a tidy bedroom? Yeah? Have we got anyone got a very untidy bedroom? Hands up, untidy bedrooms. Do you know why? Because you have trouble creating and sustaining tidiness in your mind. In some area of your consciousness, it's always very untidy, a bit chaotic, a bit up and down, a bit like this. And so that's expressed in the world you create around you. Untidy desk, untidy bedroom. The way you do certain things is untidy, unfocused, chaotic, basically. As without, so within. It's a kind of universal principle. And so what we see in the world out there is really an expression of what's going on within our consciousness, which means that each of us has become fragmented in our consciousness. Yeah, there's disunity within ourselves. And you know this. Because, have you ever noticed, when you meet different people, you become a different person? Have you ever noticed that? Some people you're very comfortable with. Other people you're very uncomfortable with. Some people you look forward to being with. Some people, oh, I don't want to be with them. And it's as if you're a different person with different people. Have you ever noticed that? And then you wonder, now why am I acting in a different way with this person than I would with that person? Why do I enjoy being with this one and not with that one? Because internally in our consciousness, at the level of our personality, we've become fragmented. And if you go below that, that cause of that is a fragmentation of our own self-identity. Yeah. We're fragmented in our consciousness. And the reason is that we take our sense of identity from many different things and people and places and ideas and beliefs. You know, we jump around as we identify. First, what do we identify with? We identify with the things in our lives. If someone scratches your car, how do you feel? Happy? Do you celebrate? If someone takes a coin down your car, what do you feel? You feel very angry. You get very angry. So you're in pleasure or pain? You're in pain. And so let's do it very logically. I scratch your car and you're in pain. Who creates your pain? Is it me with the coin who does that? Do I make you angry? Who creates the emotion of anger? Hello? You're reluctant to take responsibility for your emotions? It's okay, I understand. Let's do it the other way. You scratch my car and I get very angry. And so who creates my pain? Ah, you're quick to say it's me now, aren't you? Wonderful. We're so good at fixing other people, aren't we? We're brilliant. And so, of course, it's me that creates the pain, not the guy who scratches the car. That's his business. That's his business to scratch cars. So let's do it logically. You scratch the car and I feel pain. Therefore, I think I am a car. Yeah. In that moment, my sense of identity is lost, invested in the object. It might just be for 5 seconds or 5 minutes or 5 hours, but in that moment, I'm identified with the car. Good morning, doctor. I'm a BMW today. Yeah, it's actually a sign of insanity. I'm insane. I've lost myself in something that I'm not. And we do this hundreds of times every day. We've been taught to do it. If I come up here and say, you know the Danish, they're a miserable bunch. Can't stand the Danish. Oh, I tell you. Now, you see, you're laughing because you know I'm not serious. But if I said the first thing that I said on here, you know me a bit now. If that was the first thing I said, some of you would go, what do you mean? Danish. What do you mean? How dare you say that? I'm going. Why? Because you identify with the idea of Danish. Yeah. Some of you, if I threw a brick through the window of your home, you get very angry. Some of you, if I said you're not looking very nice this evening, you would get a little resentful, wouldn't you? What would you put up? A little barrier? I'm not talking to you anymore. Now, where's someone who's going to tell me I look lovely? Why? Because you're identified with your physical appearance. If I said, that's an old and terrible dress you're wearing, what do you mean? Nothing wrong with this dress. You would react. You might react. And the reaction is the sign that you've lost your sense of identity in something that you're not. If I said your football team's the worst team in the land, what would most guys do? What do you mean? best team. We're the best. Oh yeah, we don't win much, but we're still the best. In fact, we haven't won for 2 years, but we're still the best. Isn't that what people do? Why? Because they've lost their sense of identity in something that they're not. Now, where does that happen? Where do we identify with something that we're not? Where? In our own minds, in our own consciousness. And it's just that we're not aware that we're doing that. In fact, all stress, all suffering, all tears of sorrow come from this one habit of identifying with something that we're not. If you stopped identifying with all these different things, if you stopped that and didn't do that anymore, you would be stress-free, suffering-free. You would never cry. You would never be in emotional pain. You would never react to someone. You know when you react, what are you doing? Why are you doing? You would be able to respond peacefully, lovefully, and contentedly. But it's not easy because we have been trained. In fact, there's a whole industry out there whose job it is to make sure you keep identifying with something that you're not. And that industry is called marketing. That's their job. What do they say? We've got the new one for you. Isn't it good? Can you not see yourself with the new one? When you have the new one, I tell you, it'll make you so happy. It's the latest model. It's just come out. It's faster, it's quicker, it's slicker, it's better. Here it is. Can you not imagine playing with this? And when you have this, other people, they will want one too. You recognize this? And then as soon as you buy it, as soon as you drive it, the new ads just come out. Have you still got the old model? No, you don't want that anymore. We've got the latest. It's even quicker, even slicker, even faster, even nearer. Do you see? And suddenly, we're being pulled into identifying with something outside of ourselves. And this is what creates the fragmentation within ourselves. And where there is that fragmentation, that jumping around to different senses of identity, there is disharmony. And this is the origin of disharmony in the world out there. It begins with us. Do you see the connection? Can you see the connection? Sometimes you meet someone, sometimes. Have you ever met someone and they're in a conversation and everyone's saying, well, I'm British, I'm French, I'm Scottish, I'm English. And this person, they're very quiet. They don't say anything. And they say, where do you come from? Who are you? Where are you? Who are you? Which? And their answer is, I don't come from anywhere. I don't identify with any nationality. And if you ask them a little bit more, they would say they're universal. What's called the universal human being. A human being whose consciousness doesn't get locked into a little sense of I, but is actually free and therefore universal. And that's why you can't insult them. You can't press their button. They don't have any, because they don't identify with anything that they're not. You can scratch their car and it won't bother them. Yeah. You can criticize what they're wearing and it won't bother them. You can, what else can you do? You can tell them they look awful today and it won't bother them. Can you imagine what that might be like? You can talk about them behind their back, spread gossip, funny stories, and it won't bother them. Because inside, they are free, and that means they are whole, unfragmented in their consciousness. Possible? I think so. I think it is. And for me personally, that's the work I'm constantly doing within my consciousness. I keep trying to notice whenever I get lost in something that I'm not, whether it's my job, ideas, belief system, objects, other people, memories, family, friends. Whenever I get lost in those things, I notice and I remind myself, it's not what I am. This is not what I am. That's not what I am. They are not what I am. This nationality is not what I am. This lifestyle is not what I am. And as I do that, I maintain my inner freedom. And as I do that, it allows me to give a different energy, a different intention in my relationships. Because notice, the moment you identify with anything that you're not, what do you do next? You start to what do people do? They start to defend what they identify with. Whether it is a nation, or an object, or a lifestyle. Do you ever argue? Do you ever argue? No, you never argue, do you? When you argue, it means you have an opinion. Is that true? And when you hear the other person's opinion, what's the center of your opinion? It's your belief. And as soon as you hear their belief, you see it as a threat. To who? To you. It's just their belief, but we see it as a threat and we start to argue. And then if you notice what comes through your body, through your mind and through your body, is tension, is anger. And you start to fight to make them as right as you are. Do you ever do that? No. Yeah. How to disarm someone in 1 second? Oh, that's interesting. I've never seen it that way before. Actually, I have a different point of view, but okay, thanks, see you, bye, see you later, take care. And so I choose not to fight. And the choice not to fight can only happen. The choice not to argue is when I stop identifying with my belief. Do you know that all conflict, all war in the world is just one side identifying with their beliefs and another side identifying with their beliefs? And they're different. Not better, just different. All conflict, all war, across ocean tables, boardroom tables, and breakfast tables. All war, all conflict. Identification with a belief. Now, are you your beliefs? Are you your beliefs? Is that what you are? A set of beliefs? Can you change your beliefs? There's a question. Can you change your beliefs? Yes. I used to believe the world was flat. And then one day I threw it out. Now I believe the world is round. Who does the changing? It's me. So there's me and there's my beliefs. Yeah. So I'm not my beliefs. So now we're in deep territory. If I'm not the car, if I'm not the nationality, if I'm not what I do, if I'm not where I live, if I'm not my lifestyle, if I'm not even my beliefs, we're left with one question. The oldest question. Who am I? Who am I? And you know that's the one question no one teaches us at any stage in our lives. And that's why the world is such a disharmonious, conflicted, fragmented, loveless place. Just that one question. Just the answer to that one question. Who am I? And so back to what is love. Actually, it's a lot easier to get the answer to this than you think. And it's in the evidence of your own experience. At least once a year, you go to a department store and you buy a beautiful gift and you take it to someone in your life, at least once a year. Even the worst criminal will do this. And they'll take it to someone in their life and they'll say, this is from me to you with love. They might not even say it, but the other person will feel it. And they'll feel it because the gift is given in that moment without any neediness, desire, or expectation for anything in return. You do that at least once a year? This means yes, this means no. Yes, I do. No, I never do that. Yes? Most people do. Now, in that moment, who feels the love first on the way out? Who feels it first on the way out? You do. Is that true? Is that true? That's not a belief, that's the truth, isn't it? And you know that's true from your own experience. So, next question, where does the love come from that you feel on the way out? Where does it come from? Comes from here? Here? There? There? Where does it come from? It comes from you. Is that true? Comes from you, the self, the me. Is that true? This means yes, this means no. Evidence of your own experience. I'm not trying to convince you. If anything, I'm just trying to lead you to validate the truth of your own experience. Because we're hunting truth here. We're hunting the truth. And so in that moment, that energy of love comes from you. So now we're getting close to answering the question, what is love? In fact, so close, it's too close. It's too close, isn't it? It's too difficult because it's been such a long time since we knew this for ourselves. Keyword knew. And the answer is, someone's already given it to us, love is what I am. Love is what I am. In that moment, love is what I am. Now, what's to stop me from being that energy, that love, at every moment? Or at least a few more moments than just once a year? What's to stop me? Absolutely nothing. Well, no one can stop me, because no one can ever take that away from me. No one can ever take it away. And what did they do? A lovely example of this, beautiful example. They took away his possessions, his privileges, his family, his pay, his possessions. They took away everything, and they locked him up for 27 years. You know who that was. And he walked out from that experience, the most peaceful, loving, forgiving, wisest character on the planet. Now, where did he find those attributes? Where did he find them? In the prison? No, they're within the self. They're within him, it, the I that says, I am. It's always there. Sometimes it's called the human heart. The heart is associated with love. At least once a year, a huge industry gets underway, at least in where I come from, and the heart and love, they're seen everywhere. Is that right? February the 14th, St. Valentine's Day, because the heart is associated with love. And that's true, but it's not this heart, because you have two hearts, this heart and this heart. This is not your true heart. This is the heart of my body, but the heart of my being is here, in my consciousness. And from that heart comes the energy, the intention, the movement of love. From here it comes. The gift, the present, the action, that's all physical and visible, but the energy is invisible. It's felt by the other, but it's invisible in its radiance. So, what stops the heart of our being radiating this energy all the time? Can I tell you? And when you know this, you will know the secret to true human freedom. If I take a light and I shine this light out here into the room, the whole room will be illuminated with that light. But if I put something in front of the light here, that part of the room will get darker. Something in front of the light here, and that part of the room will get darker. Something in front of the light here, and the whole room will go dark because the light is being blocked. Now, what blocks the light of the human heart? What stops it radiating, giving this energy of love? Very simple. What you identify with, you attach your heart to. Yeah, what you identify with, you attach your heart to. And it takes place in your mind. The car that my identity is based on actually isn't out on the road. The car is an image on my mind. That's why I can be in the seminar driving my car in my mind. It's out on the road, but really it's my new car up in my mind. And as soon as I bring the car up, I lose the energy of me in the image of the car. And suddenly I'm trapped in the image. But the next minute, it's someone who's saying the British are terrible. And suddenly up comes, I'm British, and I'm trapped. The British are great, the British are best. And suddenly next minute is, you're a terrible writer. What do you mean, writer? I'm a writer. And here comes the image of me, brilliant writer. And suddenly the energy is trapped in my mind in the image that I'm identifying with. Can you see it? Now, how many images do we bring up that we use to block? We get lost. Not just images, but stories. The stories we create. The stories of my life. The story of other people's lives. The story of what I do. The story of where I live. The story of what I'm going to do. The story of my qualifications. The story, so many stories we're running on the screen of our mind. It's a little bit like going to the movies. You know when you go to the movies and you sit down in a big hall like this and it's quiet and you're anticipating the movie is just about to start and you're aware of the spaciousness, the stillness, the quietness. And then up above you, clickety, clickety, clackety, clackety, clickety, clickety, and the movie begins on the screen in front. And suddenly all your awareness is focused and it goes towards the screen. And before you know it, you've left your chair and you go into the movie. Not just that, but you go into the character in the movie. And you lose yourself in the character in the movie. And when the hero loses something and they start crying, what do? You start crying, and you're sitting there watching the movie. And you haven't lost anything. It's the hero in the movie that's lost something. And it's not even real. It's a movie. And you're sitting there going, true? Yes. And so there's then a moment when you suddenly go, or someone says to you, stop it, it's only a movie. It's not real. And it's like, oh, of course, yes, of course. And what you do is you wake up from the illusion of the movie, the story that you're losing yourself in. You go, oh, okay, oh no, here I am. That's just a story. And then you go, oh, good story this, yeah. And then a few minutes later you're going, and in those moments, there are signs that I'm losing myself in an illusion. In fact, an illusion of an illusion. It's just a movie. Now, why I say this? Because it's just a metaphor for the auditorium of your consciousness. I don't know if you're ready for this. We're in very deep territory now. Very deep territory. The deepest territory of your own consciousness. If I want to wake up and rediscover the pure, elevated, brilliant energy of love, I have to stop losing myself in the stories I'm running in the internal movie screen called my mind. Yeah? Because if you think back through your average day and just reflect on all your conversations, you'll notice you kept telling someone a story, losing yourself in a story of my history, story of my work, the story of my family, the story of my friends, all these stories. And you'll notice as you lose yourself in those stories, you lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, the light, the energy of the self is trapped. It's trapped. And it blocks the radiance of your heart, which is love. That's why we experience so much fear. Fear takes many faces. Anxiety, worry, tension, panic, terror, many faces. Notice why. Whenever you're scared, why am I, someone's coming with a coin and they're going to scratch my, oh my God, I better put the car away because someone will scratch. There's fear. Why? Because the energy of my heart is being distorted by the image of the car and it's coming through as fear. That's why fear is love distorted by attachment. Fear is love distorted by attachment. And that means if you don't get attached to anything or anyone, love will be restored. And that's our challenge. That's the challenge we're all faced with now. It's not that I don't have nice clothes or car or house or work. These things are all around me just like anyone else. But I'm in the process of changing my relationship with these things so they don't form the bases of my sense of self, my identity. So they don't become something I'm dependent on for my happiness. Oh, the movie makes me so happy. No. So that I free myself from that. Free to be, what do we say? To be who I really am. Which is no one. Yeah. I am Mike George? No. Mike George is just a label. It's not what I am. I can change it tomorrow. Who does the changing? I do. It's not me. And so that's why it's been said, our true identity is just the I that says, I am. Just the I that says, I am. That's what I am. Now you're looking at me very strangely. And quite rightly too, because we're in very deep territory. So let's just apply that, and then I'll be quiet, and then you can challenge me, ask me any question you like. We went from disharmony in the world really being caused by disharmony within us as conscious beings. In the middle, we have something called relationship. And in our relationships, well, it's like there's a law of harmony. An invisible, intangible law of harmony. In the world in general, there are many invisible laws that define how the world works. For example, what's the law that keeps you in your seat right now? The law of gravity. And if you thought you could break that law, and you went to the top of the building, and you said, I can fly, what would you experience in about 2.5 seconds? A lot of pain, a lot of suffering, maybe even farewell. And so here's the sign. The moment you try and break a natural law, the sign is some form of pain or suffering. So let's do the context of our relationships. The law of harmony in relationships states, when there's a natural giving and receiving of energy with a benevolent intention, when there's a natural giving and receiving of energy with a benevolent intention, there is harmony in relationship. There is balance and harmony. Would you agree? You can disagree later on if you like, but right now, does that sound okay? Yeah? Now, what do we do in our relationships that's a sign that we're trying to break that law? What do? We don't give and receive. What do we tend to do? What's our deepest habit? Be honest. What is my deepest habit? Not to give and receive, it's to get and keep. It's to get and keep. And the moment I try to do that, if I'm very self-aware, I'll notice I begin to suffer. And the sign of my suffering is anxiety. Why are you not giving me what I want? Will I get more? When will I get it? I need to have it right now. And all those little anxieties come up. And that's the sign of suffering, which means I'm trying to break a natural law. Do you see the connection? Join the dots. And everyone has this in their experience. Everyone. Now, why do I want to get and keep? Why? Why do I try and get something? Give me your time. Give me your energy. You never tell me what I want. You never give me what I want. And as soon as I've got it, how do I hold on to this? I'll hide it. I'll give it to someone else. They'll hide it for me. I'll get someone to protect it. I'll get the security in and they'll protect it for me. And what do? We live in fear. We live in stress. Why do we do that? Because we've been taught to believe that we build our sense of identity from outside in. What do we say? The more you acquire possessions, position, and pay, the more successful you will be in the eyes of others. Isn't that how we're taught? Isn't that what we strive for? And so we build our sense of identity from outside in, instead of finding it from inside and bringing it forth, bringing it out. Yeah. And that's why when you give that gift with love, you are expressing your true identity as a source of love in that moment. You are love in that moment. And you're sharing yourself. You're giving of yourself in that moment. And you don't need anything from outside in that moment. For a while at least. Until the old habit kicks in and suddenly, where's my present? Where's my gift? Now, where are my gifts? I'm only kidding. You know those moments? And that's the challenge that we all face. hey, let me stop there and let me see if I'm making any sense. Is this making any sense? Yeah? Is my English okay? Yeah. Anyone got any questions or anything that's not kind of working, anything grey, or feeling incredibly challenged and thinking, wow, this guy needs to go back to his planet? Anyone? Anyone at all? Just put your hand up. Yeah, there's a lady right in the middle there, and there's a microphone on its way just so that someone else can hear you.
When you were stating the natural law, you used an English word which I didn't really understand, benevolent. Can you just explain it and maybe say the law again?
Which was the word?
Benevolent.
Oh, benevolent. Yeah. Benevolent means the intention of doing good for another, bringing goodness to another. In other words, giving goodness to another, a benevolent intention. Benevolence is when someone's benevolent, they meet the needs of the other before they meet the needs of themselves. It's good. Anyone else? That's it. So all is clear. Yes.
You talked about arguing.
Yes.
Having the right on your side, the other one saying something else.
Yes.
What about if your arguing is based on facts? I mean,
Yes.
I have an example, if I may.
Yes, please.
I have a little conflict with my son-in-law. He is. They have a 6-month-old baby, and the father, he wants him to go on his bicycle, and I say no. It's too early. His neck is not finished, and it's not strong enough. And he said, I know everything about bicycles. And I think he doesn't know anything about babies. How can you solve a conflict like that?
In essence, I would say one word: creativity. Yeah? And what you're doing is you're using the least creative way to share your wisdom about babies. In other words, you're going, I'm right, you're wrong. And that's very uncreative. You know, there's an old saying, you have a choice in life. You can be right or you can be happy. And if you notice, the more you try to be right, the less happy you are. And the more you try and convince another that you're more right than them, the less success you will have. Yeah? Parents are very good at this. Parents learn to do this. Because when the child is young, they seem to be easy to control. But in truth, you never control the child. You only influence. But when I believe I'm in control, I cease to develop my creativity in how to influence someone. It gets kind of stuck. And so in your particular case, you may have greater wisdom about babies than he does, but then how do you share that wisdom in a way that he doesn't put up that you help him to keep I'm right, you're wrong barrier down? Because this is his identity in that moment, and in that moment, it's your identity. I'm right, and you have conflict. And so the secret is to accept where he is at, first step. Accept that that's his opinion, he's not wrong, he's not right, but you accept it and you embrace it. A little bit like judo. Two energies come, they don't fight each other, they embrace each other, and they catch the momentum of the other. And if you accept that that's his opinion, and then you can lead, this is the beginning of leadership, you lead him into a discussion about the merits of babies and bikes and their marriage at that early stage. Yeah? And in the merit discussion, it's a good chance you will get the chance to share with him the facts that you'd like to share about muscle development coordination, all those kinds of things that I don't want to know all that. But first you have to listen to him before you know all those things. So influence, creativity, and when you do that, you're doing it then not out of fear, but out of love, Yeah. But then, even then, still say he's so stubborn, because that's the most stubborn relationship, boy and his mum, when the boy's grown up. And so maybe he's so stubborn. Then I have to remember that there are 3 kinds of business in life. My business, other people's business, and God's business. And whose business do we tend to spend most time trying to do? Other people's business. So maybe at the end of the day, it's his relationship with his child. That's his business. You offered. That was your duty. See you later. Bye. Not easy. And the reason it's not easy is you are, in that moment, and this is awareness, attached to the child. You've lost your sense of identity in the child. And that's sabotaging your ability to be loveful and wise for the child. Don't know if you can see that. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's very challenging. It's a great question. Anyone else? Yeah.
You're talking about fear and attachment and all that, but
Yeah.
you can also get scratched in your body. You have a body. And
Yes. Yes.
So you can't deny that you are vulnerable to something outside.
Yeah.
Like when the suicide bombers or
Yeah.
you fear it, your body itself may fear it. Even Plato talked about 2 stages as human being, the world of materials and the world of ideas.
Okay.
And the world of ideas is where you really get the full freedom, and only possible when you die, when you're dead. Not because you are.
Or you haven't got the microphone, so I'm going to have to try and repeat this for everyone. So okay. So what happens when someone scratches you? What happens? I forgot the next bit. Sonia, can you just bring the microphone down? I thought it was going to be a short question. I'm really working on not trying to remember anything. So here's the quick question. Well, you get a second chance.
Okay. I think it's vulnerable. Our body is vulnerable as it is because you can get scratched in your hand or in the body, and you can be an offer of suicide bomb, or you can get anything outside.
Yes.
And you are born with a body.
Yes.
But you're also I've just put an example. Plato,
Yes.
for many before Christ, he told about 2 stages in human. The one who can feel vulnerable, the body, while you're within your body.
Yes.
And the one part when you feel, in your ideas of your mind, where you are free, like we're speaking about non-attachment and pure love and all that. Yes. But that's only possible when you die, when you get free of this body, because as long as you're in this body, you are in kind of a prison.
Yes, yes.
That's. I just want to hear your opinion of that.
Oh, okay, fine. It's good. Thank you. No, it's great. When something happens to your body, scratched or injured, bumped, or becomes diseased, that obviously has an impact in your consciousness, and that's called pain. Pain is inevitable, as they say, but suffering is optional. And so this is what many people do. They have some physical disease occurring in the body, and it's painful. And they don't just feel the pain, they create suffering in their consciousness in response to the pain. And that suffering is when they start thinking, this is going to get worse, this will never go away, I'm in such pain, I can't do anything, this is really killing my freedom to do what I want in my life. That's all the thoughts, the expansion, and that becomes emotional suffering. And so the secret is to acknowledge the pain, and instead of suffering in response to the pain, is how do I heal my body? Notice how I said that. How do I heal my body? Not myself, because I've corrected my relationship with my body. In other words, this is not me. This is my BMW, but I'm the driver, and the driver is not the car. And so I get a sense of that separation. So I'm separate, and yet I'm integrated. Yeah, this is material energy, but I'm the spiritual energy that brings it to life, that animates it. That's why when someone dies, the matter of the body just collapses, but there's the life energy that leaves, that goes. That's probably another seminar, but that's not a new idea, as you're probably aware. And so then we have two bodies. You have the physical body, and you have what's called the mental body. And the mental body is all those stories, those subtle ideas and images that you've been creating. They're trapped in memory. There's the habit of speculating about the future. So the past and the future stories appear on the screen of your mind. And so the secret there is, and I'll give you the secret of freedom from those things in a few moments, is to get free. So that I realize there's this body, those stories, and then there's me, the I that says I am. And when you practice that, you begin to experience moments of freedom from this and from those stories. And sometimes those moments of freedom are described by the word bliss, the ultimate freedom. Freedom and happiness, you can't be happy really until you're really free, and the highest happiness is sometimes the word is used as blissful, this tremendous inner freedom, and a sense of myself being incredibly powerful. Not having power over, but just powerful, full of power. So that's the best I can point. I'm pointing at that in the response. Yeah. It's good, yeah. I think you're on. Let's just tap it. Yeah, that's it. That's great.
I have a question about my power in relationship with my daughter. I think some things, and I have a feeling that I need to call her. And when I call her, she says, "But I just want to call you." Or sometimes I say things and she says, "But it was what I was thinking."
Yeah.
And another is about, if you can say some things about out-of-body experience. I have one and I try to get one more, and I try very hard, but I can't. And it was an amazing experience. So.
It's good. In the first instance, you're pointing towards the idea of intimacy. And an intimate relationship usually happens with two spiritual entities, two human beings that are very close, and they resonate together. It also happens when people fall in love, when they think they fall in love. But there's not a fall, it's actually a connection. Love does not make you fall. You know that, don't you? It's impossible to fall in love. I fall in love. Again, an oxymoron, basically. Love elevates, it lifts us. And so when there is a connection with someone, in other words, there's no barrier, no boundary, there's no blocking of the other, which usually happens with one or two people around us, close family, until it becomes too familiar for a variety of reasons. Then there is that energetic finish each other's sentences, phone each other when we are asking the other to phone, and so on. So that's evidence that there's a connection above just the words with other human beings. And the second thing, the out-of-body experience is, it wasn't an out-of-body experience as such. It was just an experience of tremendous freedom from identification with your body and with those stories about your body. Because all the stories are basically about our bodies and what we're doing with our bodies in the world. So it was a moment of freedom from that, the kind of relief, deep, deep relief. And the mistake is to try and repeat it. Because when you have the experience, you have a memory. And when you have a memory, you stick it in your memory, and then you try and get attached to it. Oh, I want that again. Just like getting attached to the car. I want another one of those cars. I want another one of these memories. And so you become attached to the memory, and you lose yourself in the memory, instead of being free in yourself to allow that experience to happen naturally again. Do you see it? So don't remember the last time. It's not easy, but that was yesterday, this is today. Or what do they say? That was Zen, this is Tao. Didn't get that one, did you? That didn't work, did it? That was then, this is now. It's good. Did you not get that one? That was Zen, this is Tao. Zen, you understand? You understand Zen? Zen. Z-E-N. And Tao. Tao? Tao? We can talk about that later. Yes?
So if this energy is so strong, why haven't it conquered yet?
Why?
Why haven't it conquered yet?
Why haven't it what?
Conquered. Conquered. What? Sejret. Hvordan siger man det på engelsk? Conquered.
Conquered what? Conquered what?
The energy, the balance. I'm thinking about wars, and I'm thinking about the people attacking.
Oh, I see.
Thinking about football.
Oh, I see. Yes, okay, all right.
But why
okay.
haven't this energy?
So you
conquered?
mean, why is this love becoming increasingly absent and not more present?
If it's this so pure and so obvious as you are able to explain it.
Yeah, okay. Because of infection. You know, the body gets infections, so our consciousness is infected. And infection in consciousness is called belief. And the first belief that infects your consciousness is when you go to the bathroom mirror in the morning and you look in the mirror and you go, oh. Yeah. And that's when you affirm the belief that you are what you see in the mirror, that you are this body. Now, the first time that happens is the first moment of infection of belief. And belief takes you away from truth. Belief is not the truth. Belief is what we create when truth is lost. So you believe you are the body. And then from that belief comes the belief, another gray hair, more wrinkles, oh my God, I'm getting older. What will they think of me? Now just a second. Yeah, but the individual, personal level, all of us together is the universal. You got that? It's not a question of being essential, it's a question of what's been lost. And why have we lost our awareness of ourself as love? It's not that it's lost permanently, it's only lost temporarily. And I'm trying to describe that. Why? Because our consciousness, which is what I am, which is what love is, when it's pure, not infected by a belief system, when it is in its true state, not infected by the belief that I'm the body, that success comes from outside, that other people are responsible for my happiness, the belief that I can control and make you do what I want, the belief that I'm right and you're wrong, the belief that wealth is material, the belief that the more I have, the more successful I will seem. All those beliefs are now covering our consciousness. Like a gold diamond bullion at the bottom of the ocean gets covered in barnacles. But the gold is still at the heart, but covered with all this dirt and grime and muck. And so every single one of us, is covered with the barnacles, the infections of these beliefs. And that's what makes us think and act in the ways that we do, unlovingly, disunity, disharmony. That's the cause. Universally, we all have the same infection. And that's why love is absent, temporarily. But it's as if it calls you back. It's always there, that pure, radiant, loving energy at the very core of my being. It is what I am, is always there. It just gets distorted and blocked, and it calls me back. That's one of the reasons why people are here now. There's a call from inside. It's called searching. I'm searching for something deeper, more profound. You cannot search for what you have not already known. You cannot search for what you've not already known. So that memory is coming from inside and making me kind of search. This world is crazy. How are people living like this? I need to search for another way, a better way. And more people are doing that. And what I described tonight is how to free yourself from the infections, the barnacle, the grime and the grass that we've absorbed, to free myself from that, so that I reveal again my true heart, that energy of love. That's the work we have to do individually. Yeah, it's not a universal, it might end up that way, but we have to do it individually, and that's why we're here. And the methods to do that, very few people actually really set off on the trail to do it, because there are 4 things I have to do every single day, or as often as possible, in order to reveal, get rid of all the illusions, the stories, the grime, the beliefs, the infections. 4 things. Number 1, meditation. In other words, let go of everything in the world around me and come back to myself. The practice of being centered in myself. Just watching and noticing how I get distracted and coming back, until I can be still at the center of myself. That's not easy for most of us in the age of agitation. The second thing, each day I need to have some contemplation. And contemplation really means exploring a deeper wisdom about consciousness. Now, whether that wisdom comes from a person, an ancient wisdom or a new wisdom, but looking in the mirror of spiritual ideas and insights and saying, is this true for me? Is this true in my experience? How does this relate to me? You could call it the spiritual student studying themselves, because really I'm studying myself. The third thing is application. As I realize deeper truths from within myself, how do I apply them? How do I practice them in my relationships, in my family, at home, in work? Let me test them. Let me actually experiment giving unconditionally to the guys on my team at work. What does it feel like to not want anything from them and to help them to work for the organization and not me? Wow, that's a bit of a shift. Now let me practice the application of that. So each day I need to practice a little, and I'll fail, I fall down, I get defeated, and then I have to stand up and say, okay, what did I do wrong? Did I get wrong? Oh yeah, okay, I was thinking that, and I should have been thinking that instead, and I review, and I practice again. And then the fourth thing is contribution. So meditation, contemplation, application, contribution. And the reason contribution means giving. Find somewhere in your life where you just give your energy and want nothing in return. And what happens is you begin to take the energy away from give me, want, oh, I better get it, oh, I'm going to be so insecure if I don't get what I want. All those habits of wanting, which are really covering the soul, the self, the I, they begin to lose their power as I give my energy freely. I practice making a contribution. I want nothing in return, whether it's voluntary work or charity work or something, some small part. And notice what comes from within. A very different feeling about your life. Very different feeling. Not easy, because we live a materialistic paradigm. And the materialistic paradigm, the belief system, got to acquire, accumulate, give me, hold on, attach, all about that. And that's what's covering over the natural flow of the human heart. So those 4 things are the fastest way to create what's called self-transformation, which really means the self-awakening to who I really am, to what I really am. Does that make sense? Or does that sound like, oh my God, that sounds like hard work? I didn't come here to work hard. But it's not hard work. Actually, there's nothing else to do. And when you do it with others, it becomes incredibly interesting, really interesting, when you're not just trying to do it on your own. That would be the final recommendation. Don't try and just do it on your own. Hang out with people who are also doing similar work. And then it becomes very interesting. It's good. I think that's enough, eh? Yeah, I'm getting the wind-up signal from the producer at the back. It's fantastic. I thought what would be quite nice is just to finish with a few moments of one of those practices. Those are the 4 practices, what they call spiritual practices, to reawaken the authentic self. And what might be quite nice is just to finish with a meditation together. And I'll share with you what I do in my consciousness to restore my true state of awareness. And then you can take it away and you can use it if you want, whenever you want. So just relax your body in the chair. Take the shape of your chair and just scan your body for any tension or tightness. And if you find any, just let it go. Relax. And then bring your awareness to yourself. And just be aware of yourself, being aware. And then within your awareness, you've let go of the world around you. It's as if there's clear space. No memories, no imaginations. You're here in the present moment, fully present, right now. And in the presence of this moment, I create one thought, one simple thought. I am a being of peace. I am a being of peace. Allow that thought to grow within your mind. Give the energy of your attention to that one thought. And then let that thought fade away. And notice what remains. There's a feeling of peace. Allow yourself to be bathed in that feeling. Your mind is quiet. Mind is silent. And there is a stillness here at the heart of your being. Silent and still. Silent and still. And in the silence, you can hear the pulse of your heart, not the heart of your body, the heart of you. The impulse to give, to connect, to love. Silent and still. Silent and still. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, det var en fantastisk stillhed. Det er måske lidt synd at applaudere oven på en sådan stillhed. Men måske skulle vi give en hånd til Mike. Mange tak.
Okay. Thank you.
We got some of Mike's books at the back. He's got 2 books in Danish. One about meditation. It's this one. It's got the CD in it. And The other book in Danish, this one is about stress and meditation. And then there are 2 books in English. One is about love and one is about anger. So, and if you want the book signed by Mike, you just catch hold of him and he will write a little greeting to you in the book. And the talk will be uploaded on our website from a week on, I think. Will it be with video also? Yeah, we'll have a video talk. You can go on the website. I think we'll put it on the front page. And otherwise you look into Brahma Kumaris in Denmark. We have lots of downloads of talks. And for those who are new to us, you're most welcome to join our mailing list because we have many talks during the year. From September we will start with our weekly talks again with Salman sitting at the back from India. Very popular talks. And our next visitor is Mike's colleague Charlie from Australia. So let's see what we can do there. So thanks for tonight and have a very loving future, I suppose. And see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.